Hey there, I'm Matt, and I'm 31 years old. Many people refer to me as one of those guys who get away with anything. No matter how much of an annoyance I can be, I still manage to get blessed, like I have some good luck or something. And before, I wouldn't believe them. I just thought that they were haters. But also, what happened to me a couple of months ago, I'm starting to believe that they were right. Maybe I'm a walking, talking beacon of good luck. This is the story of how I won in the end, as usual. It all started with my sister Marie. You see, I was never meant to be the responsible one. In the cosmic lottery of life, my twin sister Marie seemed to have drawn all the good cards, leaving me with the chaotic, reckless ones. I didn't mind it though, because it meant that people wouldn't mess with me. Marie was the family-oriented type, always spreading kindness and joy wherever she went. Meanwhile, I was content with my bachelor lifestyle, carefree and unattached. Life was good until it wasn't. 10 years ago, Marie adopted a little boy named Henry. He was a bright light in our lives, and I loved being an uncle. But tragedy has a way of shattering even the strongest bonds. It was a devastating blow when Marie was killed in a car accident. Losing her felt like losing half of myself. There's an undeniable hole in my heart that wouldn't ever be filled. The world became a darker place, and I was left grappling with grief and the sudden responsibility of caring for young Henry. But you see, I never imagined would become his guardian. I remember the day Henry came into my custody vividly. I expected other family members with children or even my parents to step up and offer their support. But what I received instead was a cold shoulder and cruel rejection. You don't want Henry? He's family, for God's sake. My mom crossed her arms, her tone icy. Matt, we have our own lives to live. We can't just drop everything to take care of a child we barely know. It's not fair on us or Henry. Barely know? He's been in our lives for 10 years. You know what I mean, Matt. Henry is adopted. He said it as if he had some deadly disease. You're acting like taking care of a child is the easiest thing. Since you feel so strongly about it, why don't you take him in? Honestly, I didn't think that I was even a contender for being Henry's guardian. I mean, you know my lifestyle. I have zero experience with kids. I thought that my cousins like Naomi or Tia would take him. They have kids around his age, so why wouldn't it be easier for them? Nope, trust me. I already tried asking them, and they said they didn't want him. And what about you two? You already have experience raising 2 kids at the same time from birth. Why is it so difficult to take in this 11-year-old boy? We're too old for this. Matt, raising a kid at our age? It's not what we signed up for. Maybe it was our biological child we would consider. My frustration swelled within me. How could they be so callous? So quick to discard a child in need? I really didn't think that I'd be raising a kid, but from the responses I was hearing, I definitely needed to take Henry in my care. Otherwise, he'd end up in unloving arms. He's Marie's son, your grandson. How can you turn your back on him just like that? What kind of family are we? My mom sighed, her tone condescending. Matt, we have our priorities, our responsibilities. We can't take on the burden of raising this child. It's hard raising an adopted kid, you know. I clenched my fists, my anger simmering beneath the surface. Burden? Henry's not a burden. He's a child who just lost his mother. He needs us, his family, to be there for him. And despite your lame excuse about him being adopted, I'd like you to know that he is part of this family wholly. But my pleas fell on deaf ears. The rest of our family members present at the time shared the same sentiments as my parents, unwilling to help the child. At that moment, I made a decision. I couldn't bear to see Henry being cast aside and rejected by those who should have embraced him with open arms. If no one else would step up, then it would be up to me. I would take him in and give him the love and stability he deserved. Turning to my parents, my voice firm, I declared, "If no one else is willing to do what's right, then I will. Henry will live with me." "Matt, I was joking earlier when I said you should try and take him in. You don't have any experience raising kids. What are you going to feed him? Kids can't survive on pizza, you know, contrary to what you might think." "Dad, I'm able to handle responsibilities, okay? I may not have planned for this, but I won't let Henry suffer because of it, especially if none of you want to take care of him. I will learn, adapt, and do whatever it takes to be the parent he needs." "But you don't know the first thing about raising a child." "You're right, I don't. But what would you rather have me do? Sit on the sidelines and watch Henry be taken in by a family that doesn't love him? Just like you guys? I may not know the first thing about raising a child, but I'll figure it out. I won't let him down like the rest of you have." Henry, oblivious to the weight of the conversation, wandered into the room, his eyes red from crying. He clung to me, seeking comfort and solace amid his confusion. At that moment, I knew I had made the right decision. I would protect him, love him, and show him that family doesn't always mean sharing the same blood. It means being there for one another no matter what. I vowed to protect Henry and give him the love and stability he deserved. No one, not even our own flesh and blood, had the right to belittle him or dismiss him as anything less than family. The time had come for me to take a stand and show them the strength and resilience that lay dormant beneath my carefree exterior. The days after Marie's passing turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. After 3 months of living together, Henry and I fell into a rhythm. He was such a cool kid. I felt like I was hanging out with my best friends at times. I was excited to teach him all of the things he needed to know, like how to shave, how to change a tire, how to cook some basic meals, and most importantly, how to pull the ladies. He was a natural, by the way. One evening, as we were playing a game of catch in the backyard, Henry paused and looked me up with wide eyes. "Matt, do you think Mama can see us from up there?" I tossed the ball gently and pondered his question. "Well, buddy, some people believe that the ones we love never truly leave us. Maybe she's watching over us, cheering us on and sending us her love." Henry smiled, his innocence lighting up his face. "I hope so. I love her. And she loves you, Henry, more than words express." Together we continued our game, the sun setting in the distance, and that moment I realized that despite the challenges we had faced, Henry and I had built an unbreakable bond. He was a tough kid, and honestly he reminded me a lot of myself. Maybe that's why we got along so well. Although he'd been staying with me for 6 months at that point, I realized that I didn't really know much about his background. And that's something that a parent needs to know, right? So there I was on a mission to uncover Henry's backstory before the adoption and be way better parent than my parents. I mean, seriously, who did they think they were, treating an innocent kid like he was disposable? I was hoping that my parents would feel awful for what they said once they realized that Henry and I were actually thriving as a family unit. But what ended up happening in the end was way, way better. I made my way to the adoption agency that Henry was originally in, ready to dig up some information and find out everything there was to know about Henry's biological parents. You might be wondering why Marie didn't do this or have this information on deck, and honestly, I don't know. It's a shame that I can ask her now, but I suspect that she just wanted Henry to have a clean slate, because his parents must have given him up for reason, right? And as a parent, you should get all of the details, just to be sure. See, I'm not so bad at this parenting thing. Turns out Henry's parents, Sally and Justin, were taken from him in a freaking plane crash. Can you believe it? Talk about heartbreaking and super ironic, almost spookily so. Anyways, poor Henry ended up in the care of his aunt, Veronica, but she, for whatever reason, gave him up for adoption. Man, life can be tough. Being the ever-conscious, ever-adventurous person I was determined to find out the reason why she did what she did. Armed with this newfound knowledge, I set out to find Veronica. It wasn't easy, let me tell you. I had to play detective, making endless phone calls and stalking the depths of the internet. But finally, I tracked her down like a champ. Go me! I texted her on Facebook, briefly explaining who I was, and clearly she didn't think I was some random creep because she was willing to talk on the phone. When I called her up, I could feel the tension in the air. Hey there, Veronica. Oh, hello. What can I do for you? Look, I know this might come as a surprise, but I recently found out about Henry's background, about his parents. How did you find out? I did some digging, Veronica. I needed to know more about Henry's past, where he came from, and I also need to know why you didn't take him in. That was a tragedy. I never wanted to give Henry up. I was devastated. I can only imagine how difficult it was for you, losing your sister and brother-in-law like that, and then having to make such a tough decision. It must have been unbearable. It was. I loved them so much, and I loved Henry, but I was so overwhelmed, so lost. I didn't know how to take care of him all on my own. I thought it would be best for him to be with a family who could provide for him and give him the love and stability he needed. I understand, Veronica, and let me tell you, Henry is doing great. He's such an incredible kid. Despite losing his mom, he's strong and resilient. As his guardian, I think he deserves to know his roots, his story, and at least eventually. Do you think so? Do you think he'll understand? I think he will, Veronica. Kids have a way of surprising us with their resilience. He's already shown so much strength, and knowing about his biological family could give him a sense of identity, a connection. He needs to know where he comes from to honor his parents' memory. I won't tell him anything now because I don't think he's ready. But I think I need to do my due diligence as a parent. You're right. He deserves to know. I'm so grateful that you're there for him, Matt. I can tell that you genuinely care. I do, Veronica. Henry is family, and family looks out for each other. I promise you I'll always be there for him, and I hope we can stay in touch too. We can support each other through this journey. Thank you, Matt. I believe you. It's just hearing about Henry, about how he's doing. It brings back so many emotions. I miss them, Sarah and David, so much. I know, Veronica, and I can't begin to understand your pain, but we'll get through this together. Henry will grow up knowing about his parents, and you'll always have a place in his life. Thank you for reaching out, for caring about Henry, and for letting me be a part of his life. I never expected this, but I'm grateful. It's my pleasure, Veronica. Family sticks together no matter what. We'll honor Sarah and David's memory and make sure Henry knows how loved he is. As the tears flowed, a shared understanding passed between us. We may have started as strangers, but now we were connected by the bond of love for Henry and a desire to give him the best life possible. I didn't tell Henry everything just yet. I didn't think it was wise to drop such a huge bombshell on him after he already received one, but I did eventually meet up with Veronica. We talked for hours trying to get to know each other better, and at some point, Veronica dropped a bombshell on me. In one of our meetings, she said, "Matt, I need to tell you something. I'm very wealthy. Over the years, I've built a successful business empire, and after getting to know you and seeing the pictures and videos of Henry growing and thriving, I'm ready to participate in his life, even if I can't be physically present right now." So how much money are we talking about here? Are you going to make me a millionaire? Well, maybe not a millionaire, but let's just say I'll be providing a substantial financial support. I want to essentially pay child support for Henry. I can comfortably contribute $10,000 a month, if that's okay with you. I almost choked on my coffee. 10K? Geez, Veronica, I thought you were joking. Are you actually that rich? Yep. Wait, if you're that rich, then how come I didn't see any online traces of your wealth and success? I like to live a quiet life, and I work very hard to ensure that I don't have much of a digital footprint, which is why I was surprised to find out that you found me. If you search for my business, you'll see that I'm telling you the truth. As she said, I searched up her business, and it turns out that it was well on the rise to becoming a multi-million-dollar company. I got lightheaded from all the signs of wealth and luxury I was seeing. Wow, that's incredible, Veronica. You must be a really smart woman, and $10,000 per month is more than generous of you. I never expected anything like this. But why? Why are you doing this? Part of the reason I gave Henry up for adoption was because I was on the brink of changing my life forever. If I had taken him in, I wouldn't have had the financial means I have now. But seeing Henry grow up and the love and care you've given him, I can't help but wish I had made a different choice. This is my way of paying you back and ensuring that Henry has everything he needs. That means a lot, Veronica. I've been doing my best to provide for Henry, but I won't deny that the financial aspect has been a challenge. This will make a huge difference in our lives. I'm glad to hear that, Matt, but I also want to make sure I'm doing what's right for Henry. Is there anyone else who has been there for him, anyone else who deserves financial support? At this moment, I knew that I could have lied and said that his grandparents were heavily involved in his life, also contributing to his growth and success. But not only would that be disingenuous, it would be stupid. I could have done my parents a solid, getting them extra cash, but I saw an opportunity to do what was right and just. Honestly, Veronica, I'm the only one who stepped up after his mom passed away. Marie was the only one who cared for him. The rest of our family, well, they turned their backs on him. I didn't know what I was expecting her answer to be, but it wasn't this. In that case, I'll add another $10,000 per month to support you and Henry. You've taken on the responsibility and provided him with the love and care he deserves. I want to help in any way I can. I started calling her crazy for her proposals. How could she pay me, little old me, $20,000 a month? I swear I saw stars at that point. Even though I told her the $10,000 was enough, she insisted that she paid me the extra money, saying it was the least she could do. I truly regret not being there for Henry when he needed me, but now we can make things right and ensure he has the best life possible. I hope one day when the time is right, I'll have the chance to meet him and be a part of his life. Over time, thanks to the monthly payments from Veronica, things started looking up for Henry and me. We moved into a much nicer place, and I could finally buy some cool stuff for the both of us. When my parents noticed the change, they couldn't hold back their curiosity any longer and confronted me about it. So I spilled the beans and told them everything. I explained who Veronica was, how we met, and that she was sending us a fat check every month to help us out. But when they heard about the money, their eyes lit up with dollar signs, and they wanted their piece of the pie. Well, sorry, not sorry. I made it clear that the money was meant for Henry and me, especially Henry. It was all about securing his future and making sure he had a shot at success. But man, did things get heated. What makes you think that you deserve this money? Well, Really, Matt, you're going to treat us like this? Yep. After what you said about Henry 8 months ago, you think you deserve a slice of the pie? You're crazy. How dare you? You're our son. You're meant to take care of us as we get older, or at the very least, cut us in on that sweet deal. Over my dead body. The both of you aren't going to touch this money, you hear? You're greedy. And selfish. Yeah, well, you're cold-hearted and bitter. The both of you. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to the life that I'm enjoying with Henry. It was a messy argument, filled with frustration and disappointment. Our relationship has been on the rocks ever since. Frankly, I don't care. My priority is Henry and his well-being, not their entitled demands. With the money from Veronica, I got smart. I didn't want to blow it all on dumb stuff. Nah, I decided to invest it wisely. I talked to some financial experts and explored different options. My goal was to build up Henry's credit and bank accounts so he'd have a solid foundation when he comes of age. I wanted to set him up for a bright future where he can chase his dreams without being held back by financial worries. Seeing Henry grow and thrive fills me with pride. I know that by making smart financial moves and investing in his future, I'm getting revenge on the crappy circumstances that dealt him a tough hand. It's my way of sticking it to a system that failed to support him when he needed it the most. So yeah, our family relationships might be strained, but I don't give a damn. I'm committed to securing Henry's future and making sure he has every opportunity he deserves. Together, we'll rise above the negativity and create a legacy of love and resilience, honoring the memory of my beautiful baby sister Marie. I'm glad my parents got what they deserved, which was nothing. I'm glad that I reached out to Veronica and significantly improved my life, but most of all, I'm glad that Henry is doing okay. One day, soon, I'll have to tell him about where all this money is coming from. But for now, I just want to see him happy.